the Islamic bank would acquire the asset for you, the asset identified, and lease the home to you. And you can start paying them the lease rentals. So this is a very important distinction between conventional Islamic. So in Ijara, if something happens to the property, if it's destroyed, if there was fire, the rentals stop. So Islamic bank takes the entire risk.
Conventional bank?
Conventional bank, no. For conventional, it's only a loan and a mortgage on the apartment.
You have to pay back the loan anyway.
You've had instances in some countries where the buildings caught fire. In the same building, you had customers with Islamic bank financing and with conventional bank financing. Islamic banks immediately stopped their payments. Conventional banks did.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the Islamic Finance Podcast. Last episode we covered the auto finance product in Islamic finance and banking. Today we'll talk about home finance, inshallah, with the same guest, Ammar Ahmed. So, how if someone wants to get a home? Usually it's one of the biggest financial decision of someone's life. And he doesn't have the money at this stage. Can he get a finance with an Islamic bank? What is the difference with a conventional bank? And what is the process if I want to get this finance? So we'll talk about this, inshallah, with Ammar. Thank you for being with us again.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair, Muhammad. I think our guests will see these episodes in different segments.
Times, but
I'm
we're
wearing
here.
the same shirt.
Yeah, we'll divide it. So I think having one episode for one
Yeah.
product is a good approach. So
Jazakallah khair. I think you're right, absolutely. Home finance is one of the, let's say, very important decisions a person would make. And having a home itself is an aspiration for, a lot of individuals across the world, not just in a particular country or a place where he comes from. So in terms of home finance or how Islamic banks do home finance, I think we need not discuss the conventional, because conventional way of doing home finance is also very similar. Yeah. But then if you see, generally home finances tend to be very long-term finance.
Yeah.
When I say long-term, it means about 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. Why is it so? Because the value is very high.
the amount is high.
The amount is high. So for a salaried customer, it would be difficult to, let's say, make those payments
in a short time.
in a short period of time. So conventionally or from a Sharia-compliance perspective, home finance tend to be a long-term finance.
Yeah.
Just to give some perspective, in the past, when banking was not very prevalent and common and people did not have access to banking, people would buy their homes after saving. So let's say they work through their life 10 years, 15 years, they may make their savings. And once they make their savings, they would, go to the market and buy buy the homes.
Yeah.
So now if you see, and this is a change that I think our listeners will also appreciate. So banking and the advancement in the banking industry, what it has done is it has provided the consumers the ability to use their future earning potential to acquire the assets today. So when you talk about auto finance, when you talk about home finance, when you talk about any other means of finance, what are the banks doing? They are actually using your future earning potential, future economic potential to give you the resource today.
Yeah.
This was not the case in most of the countries 20, 30, 40 years back.
Yes.
So you first had to, manage the resources and then acquire the asset.
Yeah.
This has helped humanity in a lot of ways by making sure that at a slightly younger age, you can be a homeowner, you can acquire those assets. and it has generated a lot of economic activity.
Hmm.
Again, this is a question that probably we can discuss some other time of how the economic paradigm has changed.
Sure.
But yes, Islamic banks do offer home finance. So if you see home finance, if you can classify, it could be of two major types. One is buying a home which is ready.
Okay.
So you see an apartment, you see a villa, you see, they call different names for apartments and villas in different countries, but then an independent home, let's call it an independent house, or an apartment in a big building, for example, ready, which is you can immediately move and start living. Second is you want to build your own independent house. You've acquired land and you want to construct, or you have not acquired the land, so you want to acquire the land as well as you want to have construction on that. So in summary, yes, Islamic banks do have options to facilitate this.
So even if the home, the apartment or the villa is not yet existing,
yes,
we can get the finance.
We can have mechanism to have the finance for this.
So this is for Islamic banks.
Yes.
In conventional banks, so as we know, conventional bank will give a loan that you have to pay interest on.
Yes.
They will give this only for existing property, or they can give.
They also give for both.
For non-existing, for construction.
So they may also have some products which help the customers to develop or build their own homes, or finance an underdevelopment apartment.
Okay.
So it's possible.
So in Islamic banks, what options do we have? Existing only one, and construction only one?
In Islamic banks, generally, if you see what is a home, an independent house or an apartment, it's an asset, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you have identified an asset. It is worth $400,000. And you want to acquire that. It's a 1-bedroom apartment, for example. So what option do you have? You've identified it and you don't have the money. You only have, partly you have, let's say, saved $40,000 or $80,000 or $100,000. You want the Islamic bank to support on the remaining part.
Yeah.
How does it work? It's the most commonly adopted approach is through leasing method.
Okay.
So what do? You go to an Islamic bank, you say, please help me buy this home. So they will again do that credit check.
Yeah.
Credit means your credibility assessment, your assessment of whether you are earning salary, whether you're able to pay the lease rentals, how much lease rentals you can afford, what is your all those calculations are done. And let's say they accept you as a credit worthy customer.
Yes. Okay.
Right? As a customer who is able to pay the lease rentals. In this determination also they will look at your age. Right? They will look at
not
your
too young
salary.
or not too old.
Yes. You remember I said 60 or 65, they could be.
Depending.
Because after 60, 65, you don't have the salary. Most of you as retire. I'm not giving a single figure, but I'm talking about in general. It depends again on various jurisdictions and countries where we are coming from. So the Islamic bank would acquire the asset for you, the asset identified. You remember we discussed in auto finance the leasing model.
Yeah, Ijara.
Right? The Ijara model. So they will buy the asset and lease the home to you.
Okay.
So they will be the owners of this home. It's ready, and you can start paying them the lease rentals. The lease rentals or the rentals are designed in a way where an Islamic bank is able to, recover the investment they have made in the apartment.
Because they bought this asset.
They bought it. So they bought it at this apartment by contributing. Let's say your contribution was 100,000, Islamic banks contributed 300,000. So it could be either joint ownership, or you give this 100,000 to Islamic bank and they buy it for themselves. The property worth 400,000 and record that you have already paid 100,000, and they start the lease rentals and start to collect the lease rentals over a period of time agreed. Let's say they've agreed for 20 years. So in 20 years' time, the lease rentals are designed in such a way that you pay them rentals totaling 300,000 plus some revenue that they want to earn on this capital that they have invested. So the rentals are designed in that way. So let's say monthly you pay, for example, $2,000 or $2,500.
Yeah.
So these rentals, $2,500 are paid over a period of
20 years.
20 years. And at the end of that 20 years period, you are sold the property at a nominal value or gifted the property, depending on how the product is structured by by the Islamic banks in various countries.
So it means you will pay leasing during 20
Lease
years,
rentals,
and at
yeah.
the end you will be owner.
Yes.
It's not just leasing.
Yes. So it's lease to own.
Lease to own.
So for some of our listeners and viewers who are familiar with Arabic, it's called Ijara, ending with ownership, or Ijara muntahiya with tamleek. So this is also a term that is used
So
for such
Ijara
structures.
muntahya bit tamlik is one option. Then I think we have Murabaha also.
Possible. So this is what the example would be. So if the property value is not too high, it's a low property value, the customer's salary is very high, he wants to close the deal in 5 years, right? So Islamic Bank can buy this asset, same asset for 300,000 identified. It will buy from the seller, it will sell to the customer for 350,000.
Okay.
Or in our example, 450,000, right? So this is also a possibility. If you see, for those of our viewers who are slightly discerning, who understand finance more, if you see, if I don't know the market, so let's say we are in 2025, right? So I don't know how the market will behave in 2030,
Right.
2035, 2030, 40. So if I'm doing long-term finance of 15 years, and if I fix the profit rate upfront today, or the profit that I want to earn over the next 15 years, without knowing the market behavior, I'm putting myself as a financial institution at a risk. Because what if the market moves? What if the profit expectation at that point of time is totally different? So what banks in general, and Islamic banks also follow the same principle, they tend to do is, they tend to fix rentals or their revenue through a reference. So they decide the rentals based on certain benchmark, based on certain index. They say, okay, this is my property, you lease it today, a rental for the first month is equal to a reference, and they use a reference to calculate
This
the rental.
reference is linked to the market, I guess.
It's a market reference.
Yeah.
So that, and it's an independent, so the Sharia requirement would be, it should be an independent reference. It should not be Ammar's reference or Muhammad's reference, because you are party to the contract.
Yeah.
It could be a third person,
Yeah.
who provides this reference. So we can put in our contract that our rentals will be calculated with reference to this benchmark. So the rentals are calculated, and then we continue the lease for the period of time.
So Ijara and Murabaha for existing asset, and you mentioned that we can also do it for asset that is under construction.
Yes.
Can you briefly explain
So
this one?
if you see, Ijara is possible only for the asset which is existing.
Okay.
For example, I lease something to you, it means that that asset should have the ability to be used,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if the asset is non-existent, and if you are coming to me and saying that please finance, or please help me, finance this independent home that I want to construct. So it's not possible for me to do Ijara today, is it?
No.
It's not possible. So what do? We say, okay, no problem. We will give you money to construct the house for us.
Okay.
Okay, let's say you've identified a contractor, you have finalized the design, because ultimately it's not the home that we as Islamic Bank, we want to go and live there.
Yeah.
It's a home that you as a consumer or a customer would want to build for yourself, right?
Right.
So you finalize the contractor, you finalize, the plan and the design, and then you come to me that this house construction with land, with everything, will cost me $500,000. So again, we follow the same process. Look at your credit worthiness, and you tell me that this will take 2 years to complete or 1 year to complete the construction. So no problem. We sign a contract, which is called a construction contract. So I am the owner, I am the, let's say, purchaser, and you are the contractor, you as in the customer. So I will pay you on milestone basis.
Okay.
So you start construction, take 10%, you complete, phases. So by the end of 2 years or 1 year, whatever time we agree initially based on, let's say, the country, the permits, various factors. It can differ between countries. It can differ between, various jurisdictions.
Yeah.
So you complete the contract construction, and at the end of 2 years, I pay the full amount in installments, and you bring the property, say, Ammar or the Islamic Bank, here is your property.
Yeah.
You asked me to construct, I have completed, and here is the property that belongs to you. I said, thank you very much. Now let's start the lease. Okay. So this 2-year period is the construction period where I have given you money and you've delivered the asset to me. Because I paid you, I appointed you as a contractor, you constructed for me, and you delivered the asset. So it's like a construction agreement, a construction contract, or a manufacturing contract. In Arabic, this is called Istisna, Sana'a, from manufacturing.
Yeah.
Right? So this is the first phase. The asset is ready. Now we start the Ijara.
So you paid for the construction. So it's your home.
Yes.
Islamic Bank's home. Now we can lease this out to the customer.
The customer.
But during the construction, customer, does he get anything because he's constructing?
No, because he is constructing for me. So
For
he's
him.
paying, yeah. So he has to submit the construction cost, the plan, the feasibility, all those, you can say, mechanisms are looked at by Islamic Bank. For example, if you say this is $500,000 for this home, but is it really worth $500,000? Is that the market price for constructing that type of a home? Are the specifications, clarified properly, how the home will be constructed? So all those checks and balances will be there, as an Islamic bank. Islamic banks do have checks and balances to make sure that.
And they are constructing it because the customer has requested it.
Yes.
So once the construction is finished, can the Islamic Bank say, no, I want to keep it with me or sell it to another person?
So what we do is, it's a very good question. I mean, if you see, generally Islamic banks as institutions, they don't do this. However, contractually, what we do is we enter into what we call as a forward lease agreement with the customer. Okay. So what does the forward lease agreement say? Let's say we start the construction on the 1st of Jan 2026.
Yeah.
It's a 2-year construction period. So under the construction agreement, customer's responsibility is to deliver the independent home constructed by 31st of December 2027. Right? 6 and 7. Now, I have two options as Islamic Bank and you as customer. We wait till 31st December 2027 to enter into an Ijara agreement when the asset will be ready. Right? That's option number 1.
Yeah.
Your question is very valid. What happens if, Islamic Bank changes? Or I can argue, in a different way. I say, what happens if the customer does not take the delivery?
Yeah, also.
Or is not willing to start the lease?
Now you have a home, a villa or anything, but...
So generally this is structured in a way where on the 1st of January 2026 itself, Islamic Bank and the customer enter into a forward lease agreement. In Arabic, we call it Ijara mawsufa fi dhimma. Ijara, which will, based on the specification, based on the defined sifat. We say this is a home, it is being constructed, it will be delivered to you on or before 31st of December 2027 in this way. But this is a contract which will not have any obligation on the parties until the property is delivered. Right? Because forward lease is to ensure that we are bound.
Yeah.
And once we are bound, the delivery happens of the asset by 31st of December 2027, and then the rentals start, the rental obligations start. So in a way, you are protecting both parties,
Right.
to answer your question.
Good. Alhamdulillah. So home finance, we have three options. For existing property, we have Ijara and Murabaha. And for under construction, we have Istisna and forward lease agreement.
Yes. So let's simplify it. Construction and
Under construction.
forward lease. Istisna contract maybe. Istisna is a term some of our viewers may find, difficult to.
So what is interesting to talk about now is the difference with conventional. We know that conventional bank will not buy the asset or lease it to you. They will give you a loan. But what happens in the example of the property is destroyed during the financing? Is the asset treated the same way for these two systems?
Very good question. So this is a very important distinction between conventional and Islamic. You see, when you lease a property from someone, who is the owner of the property? The lessor, right? The responsibility of making sure the property is available is on whom? On the lessor.
The lessor. He's the owner.
He's the owner. Now, would you pay rent to the lessor if the property is not available?
No.
Yes, you're not expected to pay. So may Allah protect everyone. But if something happens to the property, if it's destroyed, the rentals stop.
Okay.
It is now the risk of the bank. So in Ijara, the risk of the property, the risk of, ownership in the property is with the Islamic bank. If something happens to the property, if it's destroyed, if there was fire, if property is in a condition which is unlivable.
Okay.
So Islamic bank takes the entire risk.
Conventional bank?
Conventional bank, no. For conventional, it's only a loan and a mortgage on the apartment.
That's it. You have to pay back the loan anyway. We have any real example of this? I mean, practically.
Yeah, there are a lot of examples. I don't want to go into names and, countries, but yes, there are examples. You've had instances in some countries where the buildings caught fire. In the same building, you had customers with Islamic bank financing and with conventional bank financing. Islamic banks immediately stopped their payments.
Okay.
Conventional banks did not.
Oh. So same building, people living, but they got finance from different institutions,
Yes.
Islamic and non-Islamic.
Yes.
So this is a clear distinction.
Clear distinction. In this case, just to highlight, Islamic banks tend to take protection or risk mitigation. Like, I'm not sure if in the previous episode we discussed about Sharia-compliant insurance, which is called takaful.
Yeah, we did not talk about this. So we can.
So they take these protections because it's my asset.
Yeah.
So I can take a coverage through takaful to make sure that if something happens to the asset, I am able to, recover the value of the asset. And again, remember, and our viewers should also remember that Islamic banks are using their shareholders' capital as well as their, depositors' capital, investment account holders'
They have
capital.
responsibility towards people.
Yes. So they try to make sure that their assets are secured.
Yeah.
Yes, they have a risk, which is an open risk, but then they try to mitigate it by taking a coverage. So if, for example, if the asset gets destroyed, the lessee or the customer will have no obligation. They can walk away, but then Islamic bank will try to recover from the takaful proceeds, whatever is remaining,
So this mitigation that they're getting, this takaful Islamic insurance, it's not against the customer. Customer will not.
It's not it's by themselves. They have to take.
Okay. So I asked a similar question for auto finance. If someone has a car and he wants to get rid, or change it during the financing.
Yes.
Now for a home, if he's living in a one bed, he got a finance, but now he wants to switch to a two
Upgrade.
bed,
Yeah.
for example. Can he do it?
Yeah, you can do it. So the mechanism here will be based on the structure. Let's say he did leasing, right? So what happens, let's say he did leasing for 20 years.
Yeah.
So after 10 years, his salary increased, he had additional savings, his family expanded, Now from 1 bedroom, he wants to, like you said, move to 2 bedroom apartment. So 2 bedroom now is in the market available for $800,000, for example,
Yeah.
right? So now what will happen? The customer will go to Islamic Bank and say, I want to upgrade. So Islamic Bank will say, this property you're already leasing.
Yeah.
Okay, you have already paid lease rentals for 10 years. What do you do? What do you have to do with this? You have to first close this transaction. How do you close this transaction? You say that, okay, sell this property to me. This 1 bedroom, right? So you first buy this 1 bedroom from Islamic Bank. Why? Because you've already paid lease rentals for 10 years. You have, as we say, equity in the property.
You will not pay the full amount, right?
Very good point. So we will not pay, the customer will not pay the full amount. Customer will pay the outstanding, lease, the base amount or whatever reference we want to call it, the invested amount to buy this property. In the market, customer may be able to then sell it to a third party. So it will buy it first, it will sell it to the third party.
Yeah.
So let's say the customer pays an Islamic Bank on this 1 bedroom apartment, the sale price, which is calculated with reference to the original, acquisition cost.
Yeah.
Remember, let's say the property was acquired for $400,000, and after 10 years, he pays Islamic Bank $250 and acquires the property. So at that point of time, the property market value is equal to, let's say, $500,000.
Yeah.
The prices have increased.
Yeah.
So he will then have to sell this to a willing buyer and get the 500. So in customer's pocket on that day, he will have 250. How? Because he has to pay 250 to settle with the Islamic Bank, the sale price, plus 250, the equity that he's earned from that property.
Yeah.
Now he can use that 250 for the new property. Either use that 250 or keep that 250 with him and then ask Islamic Bank to finance that new property for $800,000.
Right.
At that point of time, Islamic Bank will do the check again.
Yeah.
Whether the customer is eligible, whether his salary supports the lease rental payments, and the number of years. Because mind you, here customer's age would have, if he was 30 when he took the first finance, now he's 40.
Yeah.
So then the balance, he may still be able to have finance for 20 years or 25 years, depending on which country he's living in,
But does the price increase with the age?
No. The price for the customer, the lease rentals, you mean?
Yeah.
No, they don't increase with the age, but I'm saying the ability for him to spread the rentals over a period of, number of years depends on how old he is.
Right.
Let's say customer's age was 50 and that regulation of that country allows
Until 60.
finance till 60. So the maximum finance or maximum lease that he can do with an Islamic bank will only be for 10 years. Mind you, it's not a Sharia related restriction.
Regulatory.
It's a regulatory,
matter.
limitation.
Yeah. Okay. Jazakallah khairan. I think for home finance, like the auto finance, we covered major aspects. If you want to add something, please do. Otherwise, we can, inshallah.
No, I think we've covered a lot of areas. Of course, I'm sure there could be some additional questions in the minds of our viewers and listeners. Let's take those questions through their comments or through their feedback they have, and we can do a follow-up.
We can
if
cover
not a live session with them.
Yeah, either in the comments or the next episode, inshallah. Okay, Jazakallah khairan, and we'll see you for the next episode that will be on personal finance. So if you want to get cash or liquidity, can you do it with Islamic banks? Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.